Hello everyone, and I have a very beautiful chess game to show you. In this chess game, we have Carlo Schultz. There are not so many informations about Schultz. Probably he was a German chess master, and his opponent was Karls with the black pieces. And Karls was an important chess player. He won the second German chess championship in 1934, and he also represented Germany in chess Olympiads. So a very strong chess player, not very well known, and this chess game is an incredible chess game, a must-see game. So this game was played in the city Hannover in the year 1900 in Germany. So Carlo Schultz starts the game with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, d4, and we have the Scotch opening. E takes on d4, knight takes on d4. Knight to f6, bishop to g5, pinning the knight. h6, asking a question. Bishop takes knight, queen takes on f6. So attacking the knight, defending, attacking again, attacking the knight 3 times, and white is defending 2 times. Knight to f3, knight goes back, d6, liberating the bishop, developing, and queen over to g6. So you can see that targeting the g-pawn and also targeting the e-pawn. White castled, but this looks like white is castling into it. Here comes bishop to h3, so threatening checkmate, and this looks dangerous for white. The g-pawn is pinned. Knight to e1, defending with the knight, and then h5. Full steam ahead, not even castling, very aggressive. King to h1, unpinning the g-pawn, attacking the bishop, bishop back, f3, bishop to e3, bishop to e6, b4, bishop to e3, and then knight to c2. Attacking the bishop with developing the knight, bishop to f4, targeting the king, knight to d2, h4, moving forwards. The h-pawn is getting closer to the king. Bishop to c4, knight to e5, exchanging the bishops, and knight to d4. Prophylaxis, king to e7, and connecting the rooks, queen to e2. And finally, this move was actually a bad move. This was question mark because Schultz basically missed an incredible tactic which was available for black. But can you see what did Schultz missed in this position? It is black to play and win. And which move was better? Knight to e2 was not a necessary move, it was a must. This move was a must, and this would be a life-saving move for white. And white is going to be in the ball game after this move. But after queen to e2, actually it is falling apart for white. White is going to be in very big trouble because Karls didn't miss the best move in this position, which is winning immediately for black. So let me give you a couple of seconds to pause the video if you want. Can you see why knight to e2 was necessary? It was a must instead of queen to e2. Okay, because in this position, did you see the move? Schultz missed queen to g3. What a shocker. Karls picked his queen and he placed it on g3. He is threatening checkmate, and at the same time he is sacrificing the queen. So white must accept the sacrifice. White doesn't have to accept the sacrifice. King to g1 is also possible, but this is losing. Check, only move, check, sending the king back, h3, and threatening things like bishop check. And if queen takes, then queen takes pawn, checkmate, deflecting the queen. And after bishop check, if moving the king, then pawn takes pawn, discovered check, double check, king over, rook up, checkmate. So defending this position is basically unplayable for white. So this is why basically black is also threatening checkmate after this stunning, incredible move. White must accept the sacrifice, but this opens the door to the rook. Discovered check to the king with the rook, and the king is stuck in the box. This is the only move, king to g1, rook to h2, and threatening to double the rooks on the h file, and then checkmating the king with rook to h1. Queen to c4, desperate, and then simply knight takes on c4. The idea of queen to c4 is that white wants to lift the rook up and then king over and escaping with the king. So the queen was covering king's escape route. Knight takes and rook to f2 as planned and hoping for the best. If knight takes, then rook over and white is getting checkmated. The king is stuck in the box. So we have rook up, and if capturing the rook, then king takes rook and white is going to be in the ball game. But in this position, after rook to f2, black played one another very important move. He played knight to e3. This is brutal, covering king's escape route on f1. And again, the threat is rook over to h8 and then checkmating the king on h1 after supporting the rook on h2. So we have knight to f1, but attacking the rook, so there is no time for doubling the rooks. But in this position, black has another amazing tactic which is available. So can you see the next move for black? What would you do in this position? Okay, rook to h1, and this was the best move. What a move, sacrificing the rook, but then g takes on f2. So king takes rook was the only move, and g takes on f2 is just basically clamping on g1. The bishop is also covering king's other escape route, and if white pushes the pawn, then the knight is covering the very important g2 square as well. So white can stop rook to h8 checkmate. So if some random move, then rook to h8 check, only defense, and then rook takes on h2 is going to be checkmate. The pawn covers g1. The bishop is supporting the rook, checkmate. So this is why sacrificing the rook for sending the king into the box after g takes on f2, clamping on g1. So how to defend rook to h8 checkmate? The white king is in the mating net. This is hopeless for Schultz. But he played g3, rook to h8 check, knight to h2 is the only move. And then bishop takes on g3, and all of black pieces and the pawn on f2 combines perfectly in this checkmate. So how to defend rook takes knight? Checkmate. Well, Schultz resigned in this position. Wow, what an amazing chess game. So the possible continuation, if some random move, then rook takes on h2, checkmate. White is incredibly desperate, basically waiting to get checkmated. And after this move, if this is only for prolonging the game, knight to f5, but we capture the knight with the pawn, and the next move is going to be checkmate. You can't move the king. Some move, and then rook takes on h2, checkmate. And I think this was one of the must-see chess games of the chess history. So this was a must-see. What an incredible mating net, and what an incredible attack by Karls. So he was the German chess champion from 1934. The second German chess champion he won the second German chess championship. A very important chess player, but not very well known. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time with more interactive chess games. Take care and bye bye.